predictions. Here it is. Here it is. What is up, guys? John here, aka Bruce Lee. I'm a kickboxing teacher here from Canada, and today we're talking about UFC 257, my thoughts, predictions on Dustin Poirier versus McGregor. For the sake of this video, I'm only doing the main event of Dustin and Conor. Let's start with Dustin. I got his highlights playing in the background here, which is muted because I didn't really like the song, so yeah, whatever. Anyway, so let's talk about some of his pros, some of his keys to victory. How can he, will he win this fight if he can do it, okay? So a lot of things that people talk about with Dustin is his toughness and his resilience, which is absolutely true. You know, the guy's been in some wars. So I'm really excited to see how he's going to do against Conor. Another few things that I think are really important for him is that his conditioning and his longevity in the fight is really, really good. You know, he's done a couple of 5-round fights against really tough guys at this point. So that was with Max Holloway and Dan Hooker, neither of which are no joke whatsoever. And Dan Hooker, especially having that huge size advantage, it's draining to fight someone like that in that style. But he was pressuring him and doing some really good trades and eventually won the fight to get this fight happening with Conor. The other thing that I really noticed with him, and you can see it with Eddie Alvarez here that he's fighting right now, he's got good volume. He's got good volume. That comes with that conditioning, right? It's not about being able to last 5 rounds, but look at all these strikes as he's trying to take Eddie Alvarez out. In this fight, I think this is only the 2nd round, so he's relatively fresh, but I noticed his action, his activity, his volume is relatively high for the 5 rounds compared to a lot of fighters, and definitely compared to someone like Conor, who you've seen gas out after 2 to 3 rounds even. So he's got some advantages there in the late rounds, as do all people fighting Conor. Another good thing that I really like with him is that he has a good diversity of strikes, right? He does obviously hooks seem to be his go-to, but he does, like, you know, straight punches mixing with the hooks, throws some knees, throws a roundhouse here and there. And what I really like with his variety is he switches stance. He tries to fight ambidextrously, okay? He'll go southpaw, do a few moves, go orthodox, do a few moves, try to find angles, try to find openings, and throw whatever you have open with power. And that's what makes him really effective. I mean, even look at this guy here, is just an onslaught. So if you can get Conor into this position, that would be ideal. Now, will he get Conor into this position? I don't know, because what I also noticed with Dustin is that if he can make it a dogfight, like make the person stay in front of him and trade strikes, he has a high chance of getting the better of the exchange. So will Conor stay and trade with him? I don't know. The question is, can he bait Conor to stay and trade with him and look better for it in those trades, right? When they're trading 5 shots for 5 shots or 6 shots for 6 shots, can he do better and prevent Conor from just like ducking away or moving out and using his head movement? So that's some of his pros. In short, his key to victory is to be high volume, high pressure, sap Conor's strength, and finish off with, you know, taking him to the late rounds. So what are some of his weaknesses here? What are some of the things that we might be worried about with Dustin? So another thing I noticed with Dustin Poirier is that the reason he looks so tough in fights is the only way you can look tough in fights is if you take a lot of damage. So to have like a tough persona means you took a lot of damage. And so does that play a factor? Like, yes, of course, like, you know, chronic trauma, if you're the type of person, like if you look at like Sugar Ray Leonard in his late ages versus even like Muhammad Ali, like, you know, Muhammad Ali, one of my biggest heroes and stars of boxing, you know, by the end there, like, he was not talking properly, he was a little twitchy, you know, like kind of like, you can tell that brain damage is set in because he only fought at heavyweight, and although he was evasive for most of his career, towards the end there he was trading a lot more with these big strong punchers. When you look at Sugar Ray Leonard, I mean, you know, if you watch, I watched an interview of his like last year, and he looked like still all there because he was protecting himself a lot throughout the fight. And Dustin doesn't seem to be that kind of defensive or evasive fighter, which quite frankly has me worried. That's why he looks tough in fights, is because he gets beat up sometimes. He takes a lot of damage in fights, and when you're taking a lot of damage against someone like Conor, who's not only doing damage to you, but has high propensity of just knocking you straight out, again, that for me is a big topic of concern for Dustin Poirier, is like, can he be defensive enough, evasive enough, and survive long enough to get Conor into those late rounds and then use his volume and cardio and conditioning and toughness to full advantage, right? Because I don't want to see him just taking punishment just to see if he can take Conor's hits, because we saw 7 years ago he couldn't take that hit. It was from the right, or no, it was from the left, the rear hook, the left hook from Conor McGregor. Now, a lot's happened in 6 years. He's built up a lot of experience, a lot of confidence, and he's beat a lot of really tough guys. So I'm excited to see it. Let's look at Conor's side. Alright, so let's look at some of Conor's movements here. I also muted this video because I also didn't like the music. Sorry, guys. So hopefully the other non-copyright music I'm playing will be fine. Anyways, so Conor McGregor, big star. We got Mystic Mac, King Conor in the house. He's got the speed. He's got the power. He's got that nice fluid movement, right? He always talks about like his training with Ido Portal or just stuff like that, where he moves like kind of almost like his Taekwondo style, right? He moves like quickly in, quickly out. He can slip, dodge, and counter you, which makes him very dangerous. So, that was one of his first counters right here we're looking at, where he slipped a punch and knocked him out with a cross. I mean, he basically did the same thing to Eddie Alvarez several years later, so you can tell his boxing background is really up there, but his knees, his kicks are also very good for the roundhouses. I find that his spinning kicks, this is just my opinion here, you guys, so leave a comment if you disagree. When it comes to spinning kicks, I think they're more fast than anything. Like, I know he landed a few good ones against Dennis Siver, but like for me, like they look nice and they kind of like keep his opponent being like, whoa, this is crazy. But like I don't know they're that effective of a weapon. It's definitely his punching that I see him doing the most damage with, as well as his front kick. So keys to Conor, I think, is gonna be just taking note that Dustin is a tough guy, and although you know that you can knock him out, setting up the knockout is going to be huge here. I think those front kicks is what I always go to as a fighter myself, is the first and last thing I throw. I say it in a bunch of my videos, is those front kicks are absolutely dangerous. They sap your energy, they sap your strength, and if they're too fast to be countered or caught, like that you could just land them almost all day. I think you should be landing those front kicks, those side kicks to the leg, and do kind of like some of those distracting moves against Dustin Poirier, because what I know about Dustin Poirier is that when he leaves stuff open, okay? He leaves stuff open. Like, if you watch the highlights that we just had earlier against like Eddie Alvarez, or even sometimes against Dan Hooker, the reason he gets countered by these guys sometimes is that like he kind of stays there and he winds up his punches with his arms kind of out, his wings are spread out, ready for flight, which is good if you're like loading up punches and they're not answering back. But Conor's inherently a counter puncher as well as an offensive beast, so his countering I think is gonna be the most dangerous here, where if you leave yourself wide open trying to land your punches and knees like this, your face is wide open and take that punishment, and Conor's looking for a lights out move. So I think what Conor should try to do, if I was his coach explaining the game plan to him, is going to be solid teeps, solid fast kicks to the body, few side kicks here and there to the legs to distract them, try to get Dustin to drop his hands. Like there, he didn't have to do anything when he knocked him out last. Just a nice quick punch, but look to land that straight left or that left hook again. Now, the other thing that's also, I think, underrated in Conor's arsenal is his right hook. It's a southpaw lead hook, which is the right side. I think that angle, it kind of throws a lot of people off. And Conor, I think, doesn't do a good job of showing how good he is, because he normally uses the corkscrew corkscrew right uppercut on his lead side, like he just did against Dennis Siver there. I'll back it up a bit. I will see it here, that kind of like corkscrew moving in, but his right hook is also really solid. I think if Dustin is really looking to defend his face first and defend against, parrying the cross and the left hook, because that's what hurt him the last time, using that right hook, using that other side is very, very prudent in Conor's corner. So look for those straight lefts as always, but look for that right hook, because I want to see if he utilizes that weapon as well as his front kicks and his side kicks. Again, his spin kicks, like they're fucking sick. I know, like they look cool, but I don't think that they really, if you look at the history of his fights, other than like flashing or like getting his opponents to hesitate, I don't know that they've done a whole lot of meaningful work for Conor. So for me personally, if I was his trainer, not too interested in that. Let's go into the actual predictions. Actually, let's sum up his keys to victory. Keys to victory is going to be variety of moves to drop Dustin's hands. That's my opinion. Another key to victory is setting up that left cross with a right hook or front kicks, okay? So kind of like having more combos than just like one, and counter punching and movement, okay? What I noticed, again, when I said about Dustin, is that Dustin works really well when you stay in front of him, and it's almost like this dirty style where you're trying to trade punches. Don't trade with him. Do your damage, move out. Do your damage, slip, and move out. I think that movement, instead of just staying there, staying too stationary, like you see how he's like moving with Jose Aldo here, in and out, in and out. If he does that, I think Dustin's gonna have a real hard time doing any meaningful damage to him, okay? So that's the keys to victory. Variety, to drop the hands, set up that left hand with right hook or with front kicks, and the movement and slipping, right, that countering. So that's his keys to victory. So predictions, here it is. So I just looked up the betting odds. It looks like, generally speaking, Conor McGregor on most betting sites as of today, which is 4 days before the fight that I filmed this, is a -300 favorite, and Dustin is a +255 to +300-ish underdog. I think that's just something to base off of. Do I 100% go by odds? No, but in this case, I have to agree. I don't know if it's necessarily like a -300 favorite. I think it's going to be a lot closer of a fight than we saw last time, 6-7 years ago in 2014. But I do think Conor's going to take the dub here for a few main reasons. I don't think that Dustin is evasive enough in his style. So unless this is really his game plan, I don't know that he's going to be able to avoid damage and tire Conor out before getting knocked out himself. One of the few things though that kind of lean towards Dustin's way here is that Conor hasn't fought as much as he has in this time, right? He's fought a few, he's fought the Diaz brothers, right? He fought, like Eddie Alvarez, that was a while ago now, right? He fought Floyd Mayweather, he lost to Khabib. Like, there hasn't been a whole lot of activity from Conor in the past recent while. So even though he's been training, I think just being on stage and being in those realistic scenarios is still a little bit different than hard training. So that he got that for him. Also, Conor's bigger now. He's more muscular. So I don't know, is that going to take away from his speed? Is that going to take away from his stamina? Right? I don't know, because that's every pound of muscle is like another mouth to feed on your body in terms of energy and oxygen. So we'll see if that plays a factor. How is Dustin going to win this fight? I did mention the keys to victory, but if I was in his corner, here's what I would say, is I would work on clinching up, Muay Thai style or Greco-Roman style. Try to tire out Conor with that clinching. Don't go to the ground necessarily, because in those scrambles a lot of stuff can happen, and I think Conor's jiu-jitsu is a little underrated, but when it comes to clinch work, I think you're relatively safe in there from Dustin Poirier's perspective. And you want to tire out his arms, tire out his cardio, take away the power of his punches, wear out his arms. I think that is really the way to go. I think the thing is, I don't think that based on what the fights have seen that he would really pull off or even attempt that kind of a game plan. So I'm gonna give this like a percentage basis. I think it's gonna be a 65% chance that Conor's gonna win. So I'm gonna make my actual prediction here, which will be a second round TKO from Conor with some kind of punches. If Dustin Poirier is gonna win, I think it would be in the late third round or the early fourth round with a ground and pound. I think he would clinch up Conor eventually, as Conor's tired, maybe take him down, get on top, and just do your damage, okay? So that's my prediction. I think it's more likely that Conor's going to win. I think he's got the speed, he's got the skill, he's got that X factor that makes you want to watch him. And also I have a Conor McGregor shirt on technically, so I'm a little bit more of a Conor fan than a Dustin fan. But you know what? Let's debate. Let's discuss. Comment below what you think, guys. I would love to hear your thoughts. And let's sign off there for now. John Lee, aka Bruce Lee, is out. I'll see you on the 24th watching UFC 257.